Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another video of Chem Solve. Today we are going to solve 507012 paper May June 2025. This paper has 1 hour time and it carries 40 marks, and of course it has 40 questions in it. So let's start solving. First question says, at temperature X, the volume of the sample of the hexane and pentane are not affected by the changing the pressure from 1 atmosphere to 2 atmosphere. If something is not affected by the change of pressure, it's mean it's not a gas. Because gases are influenced by the pressure. At temperature X, pentane molecules are free to move. Okay. According to state of matter, if something is free to move, then either it is a liquid or it's a gas. Okay. At temperature X, the hexane molecule are fixed position. If something is at fixed position, then obviously it would be a solid. Now look at the options. So hexane should be solid. So hexane solids. This option is correct, this option is correct, and this is incorrect, and of course this is incorrect. Okay. Now we have ruled out that it's not a gas. So if it's not a gas, then obviously the other thing would be liquid. So option C is correct. Question number 2. A gas is produced by a chemical reaction at one side of laboratory. After a few minutes, the gas is detected at the other side of the laboratory. Which process explains why the gas is detected at the other side of the laboratory? Of course, it's a fact that it must be diffusion, because diffusion is a process through which the molecule moves from an area of the higher concentration to an area of the lower concentration. Okay, so let's move to question number 3. Which statement is correct? All compounds are ionic. Obviously, it's a wrong statement, because some compounds are covalent, some are metallic, some are additive covalent bonding, so they are not ionic. All the compounds are not ionic. Okay. All compounds conduct electricity when molten. Of course not. Like silicon dioxide, it does not conduct electricity when it is molten, so it's not the correct statement. Each atom of an element contains the same number of the proton. This statement seems to be correct, because each element contains a lot of atom in it, and these atoms have the same number of the proton. So this statement seems to correct. Let's see the other statement as well. In a mixture of a substance, the properties of the substance, the proportions of the substance are always same. Obviously, it is not. Mixture is a thing in which the proportion could be different. So C is the correct option. Okay, question number 4. Atom of the element Q form the positive ion. So it's form positive ion. If it's form positive ion, it's mean it is a cation. And if it is a cation, then obviously it would be a metal. Okay. So which statement is correct? Okay. It has 10 electrons and 14 neutrons. Okay. This statement is correct. An atom of the Q has only 2 occupied shell. If it has 10 electrons, then it's mean 2 electrons would be in the first shell and 8 would be in the next shell. But it is for the substance Q, not the positive ion. It's mean it must have another shell as well. Q is a non-metal. We just cracked down that it's not a non-metal. It's a metal. So this statement is incorrect. This is also incorrect, because it's an ion, it has lost some electron, so the remaining electron should be in the next shell. The atomic number of the Q is 10. We know that in number of electron and proton are equal in a neutral atom. If electrons are more than 10, it means the proton would also be more than 10. So atomic number is not 10, it would be more than 10. This statement is also incorrect. So this statement should be correct. Mass number. Mass number, you know, is the sum of number of proton plus neutron. And neutrons are 14 and protons we have already concluded that they must be more than 10, for example 11 or for example 12. So the sum would be more than 24 in each case. So option D is the correct option. Okay, which particle contains the greatest number of the electron? So magnesium. We know magnesium has 12 electron. The proton number is 12. Nitrogen has 7 electron. Neon has 10 electron and sulfur has 16 electron. Now some of them are ions, so either they have lost the electron or they have gained the electron. Here 2 electron has been lost, so number of electron in the case of magnesium ion is 10. Okay, it has gained 3 electron because it's a negative ion, so number of electron in this case is also 10. Neon has not lost or gained any electron and it has 10 electron as well. Okay, sulfur has gained 2 electron, so the total electron in this case is 18. So the correct option is D. Now move to the next question, question number 6. The table shows the data about the two isotopes in the sample of the element europium. Relative mass of the isotope are given and the relative abundance is also given. We need to use a formula here. So let me do the calculation. What we have to do, we just have to multiply the relative mass of the isotope with the percentage abundance. So relative abundance of first isotope multiply by its abundance plus relative abundance of other isotope will be multiplied by its mass and all of them would be divided by 10. If you add these two values, it would be 10. Okay, so let's solve it. It is 15196.38 divided by 100. So if we solve it, the answer is 151.96. So I believe the answer should be B. Okay, next question. The statement about the magnesium oxide is correct. You know, magnesium is a metal. Oxygen is a non-metal. So when a metal reacts with non-metal, they form an ionic compound. Okay. It has high melting and boiling point and good electrical conductivity at room temperature and pressure. Obviously, it's an ionic compound, so it must have a high melting and boiling point, but it's not a good conductor of electricity at room temperature and pressure, because ionic compounds are the conductor only in the molten or the aqueous state. It is made up of the magnesium anions and the oxygen cation. Wrong. It is made up of magnesium cation and oxygen anion. Magnesium has positive 2 charge on it and oxide is O minus 2. So magnesium positively charged and it's a cation. So this statement is also incorrect. Okay, it's an ionic compound. We have already concluded that it's an ionic compound and has a good electrical conductivity when molten. Yes, this statement is correct because ionic compounds are good conductor in aqueous and in molten form. So this statement seems to correct. Let's see the other statement as well. It is strongly bonded because the electrons are shared between magnesium atom and oxygen atom. This statement is again incorrect because it's an ionic compound, and in an ionic compound the electrons are not being shared, they are completely transferred from one atom to another atom. So option C is the correct option. Which statement about a silicon 4 oxide is correct? Okay, what is silicon 4 oxide? Silicon 4 oxide is a giant covalent structure. And of course, it is solid at RTP. And it has strong covalent bonding. It can't conduct electricity. Okay, so let's look at the options. It conducts electricity. We just have concluded that it doesn't conduct electricity. So option A is incorrect. It has giant covalent structure. Yes, it is a giant covalent structure. So it seems to be the correct answer. But look at the other option as well. It's an alloy. Alloy is the mixture of two metals. While in silicon dioxide, the one thing is silicon, that's a non-metal. Other thing is oxygen, it's an also a non-metal, so it's basically two non-metals here, so it couldn't be an alloy. It's ionically bonded. No, it is covalent, because two non-metal when make a bond between each other, then this bond is covalent, not ionic. So this option is also incorrect. Option B is the correct option. Let's move to the next question. Which compound has the highest relative formula mass? Okay, so let's write the formulas of these compounds first, and then we will calculate the relative formula masses. Calcium carbonate, this is CaCO3. Lithium sulfate, this is Li2SO4. Magnesium chloride, this is MgCl2. Potassium nitrate, KNO3. All right. So their MR. Okay. So calcium is 40, carbon is 12, and oxygen is 3 times 16. It makes 100. Okay, now lithium. Lithium is 7 multiplied by 2. Sulfur is 32 and oxygen is 16 times 4. So it makes 110. Magnesium chloride. So magnesium is 24. Chlorine is 35.5 times 2. So it makes 95. And in case of potassium nitrate, K is 39, N is 14, and oxygen is 16 times 3, so it makes 101. So you can see that option B is the correct option. Let's move to the other question. So question number 10. 100 cm cube of ethene is completely combusted in 400 cm cube of oxygen. So I think we need to write the equation first. Ethene is C2H4. It is combusted in the presence of oxygen. As it's a complete combustion, so the product would be carbon dioxide and water. Let's balance this equation. Carbon is 2, hydrogen is 4, and oxygen must be 3. Okay. The ratio between ethene and oxygen is 1:3, and carbon dioxide is 1:2. Okay, so according to question 100 cm cube of ethene, so if it is 100, then according to the ratio, oxygen should be 300. So I can write here oxygen is 300 and carbon dioxide is 200. Okay, the volume of the both gases are measured at room temperature and pressure. What is the final volume of the gas in the mixture measured at RTP? All right. So volume of oxygen initially present. So basically we have 400 cm cube of oxygen according to the question. Okay. So volume of the oxygen used during the reaction. As you can see, it is 300 cm cube that is being used. So volume of the oxygen that is left behind after the reaction, it must be 400 cm cube minus 300 cm cube. So 100 cm cube is the volume of the oxygen that is left behind. And examiner is asking us to calculate the final volume of the gas. So final volume of the gas is the sum of the product, and the product is, of course, we will consider only carbon dioxide. We will not consider water here because water is a liquid and it's not a gas. So the volume of the carbon dioxide that is obtained during the reaction, it is 200, and 100 cm cube is the volume of the oxygen that is left behind. So the total volume, the final volume at the end of the reaction is 300 cm cube. So option C is the correct one. Now move to the next question. Question number 11. The formula of the hydrated sodium carbonate is Na2CO3 10H2O. So let's calculate its molar mass first. Sodium is 23 times 2, carbon is 12, and oxygen is 16 times 2. So they make 106. Okay. Plus 10H2O. The molar mass of water is 18. When we will multiply it with 10, it would be 180. So the total molar mass is 286. Alright. So what we need to calculate? We need to calculate the percentage composition by mass of oxygen. Okay. So how much is oxygen here? Oxygen is 3 here and 10 here. So total oxygen that is present is 30. We have to calculate its percentage by mass. So we will multiply the molar mass of oxygen, that is 16, with 13 divided by the molar mass of the compound that we have already calculated, and it is 286 times 100. Let's calculate it. The answer is 72.72%. So D is the correct option. Question number 12. The diagram shows the electrolysis of the molten lead bromide. Okay, so it is molten lead bromide. So it is PbBr2. So when it will be ionized, it will produce two ions, and they are Pb positive 2 and bromide ion, they are Br minus 1. Okay, which row identify the particles that carry charges along each row? Okay, so this is the external circuit. And we know that in the external power supply, there are the electrons which are involved. So, for sure, one is electron, two is also electron, and 4 is also electron. 3 is moving towards positively charged electrode. So if it is moving towards a positively charged electrode, then it should be the negative one. So it should be bromide ion, Br minus 1. Okay, so let's look at the option. Option A, it says 1 is bromide ion. No, we just have concluded that 1 is electron, and 2 is also electron, and 4 is also electron. So 1 should be electron. It is here, here, here. 2 should be electron. It is also here. And 4 should also be the electron. This is lead ion, so this option is incorrect. Now the competition is between C and D. Look at 3. According to our discussion, 3 is bromide ion, while here 3 is electron. So this seems to be incorrect option. So C is the correct option here. Okay. What are the products formed at the 2 electrode when aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrode? Okay. So when we use aqueous copper sulfate using copper electrode, let's write the electrode equation first. So what happens that anode is made up of copper, so at anode oxidation take place, electron are being lost, and it changed to copper positive 2. While at cathode, it is negatively charged, so copper ions will move towards it. They will get reduced by getting electrons, and they will change into copper metal. Okay, now look at the option. So according to our discussion, At cathode, copper metal should be formed. So option D says hydrogen gas. This is incorrect. B is also hydrogen gas. This is incorrect. So A and C could be the option. Now look at anode. At anode, according to our discussion, copper metal is converted into copper ions. So in A, copper ions, so it is correct option. While here, this is oxygen gas, this is incorrect option. So A is the correct option. Question number 14. Which statement about hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is correct? Okay, let's see what are hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. In hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, what happens that hydrogen react with oxygen and it produces water. Okay, so this is basically steam in the form of gas. This is a cell which convert chemical energy into electrical energy. So option A, it says it uses a chemical reaction. Yes, of course, it's a chemical reaction that has only one product. Yes, we can see that water is the only product here. So option A seems to be correct. It works by burning hydrogen in air. No, it's not the simple burning. Instead, it's a electrolytic reaction and it involves the electrolyte as well. In this case, electrolyte used is sodium hydroxide. So this is also incorrect. It requires a continuous input of electric energy. Not at all. It's a chemical reaction and it changes chemical energy into electric energy. It produces electrical energy. The output is the electric energy. So this is also incorrect. It is less efficient than the petrol engine. No, it's more efficient. So option A is the correct one. Now look at question number 15. A reaction pathway diagram is shown. Okay. If we look at the reaction pathway diagram, we come to know that a reactant are lower than the product. It means this reaction is endothermic. All right. So if this reaction is endothermic, then obviously it involves bond breaking. Okay. So in the first option A, hydrogen and oxygen atom are making a bond. So it's bond formation here. As it's a bond formation, so it is exothermic. This option is incorrect. Okay, in option B, hydrogen H2, the bond has been broken down. Hydrogen is like this, and this bond is broken, and hydrogen atoms are being formed. So this is bond breaking, and as it is bond breaking, so it is endothermic. So it could be the option. But look at C and D as well. In C, gas is being converted into liquid. So this process is condensation, and as you know very well that condensation is also exothermic process. And in last option, this is similar to the option A, again bond formation, that is exothermic. So B is the correct option. Which process is a chemical change? Okay. Distillation. Distillation is just separation, so it's a physical change. Evaporation is also a physical change. Melting is also a physical change. So rusting of iron, in which iron react with oxygen and water. So this is a chemical reaction. So it's a fact, and D is the correct option. It is a redox reaction basically. So it's a chemical change. Okay. Aqueous sodium thiosulfate. Aqueous sodium thiosulfate. So sodium thiosulfate is Na2S2O3 react with HCl. Okay, so we have to write the equation here. React with HCl. So what are the products? It will produce 2NaCl plus SO2 plus sulfur and plus water. Okay. So the rate of the reaction increases if the concentration of both the reactant is increased. Yes, this is correct, of course, because as we increase the concentration, what happens? That collision frequency also increases. And of course, rate of reaction. Okay. Nitrogen gas react with hydrogen. Okay. So this is the Haber process. Nitrogen react with hydrogen. It's a reversible reaction and it produces ammonia. The rate of the reaction increases if the pressure in the reaction vessel is increased. Again, if pressure is being increased, then particles are more closer to each other and collision frequency increases. So rate of reaction also increases. Okay, now keep this discussion in your mind and look at the option. So option A says that increasing the concentration, higher frequency of collision between the particle, higher frequency of collision between the particles. Yes, this is correct according to our discussion. So option A is the correct option. C and D says activation energy is being lower, and you know in first reaction no catalyst is being used. Here no catalyst is being used. Only catalyst is used here in the reaction 2, and that is iron. So C and D make no sense. Option A is the correct option. Okay, next question. Magnesium react with dilute sulfuric acid. Two experiments are carried out at 25 degrees Celsius. It's mean the temperature is same for both the reactions. Okay, so temperature says same. 24 a gram of magnesium, powder magnesium. So here is 24 gram of powder magnesium. Here is also 24 gram of powder magnesium. It's mean mass is the same and surface area is the same. So if mass and surface area is same, so same moles of magnesium is used. Okay. Here is 100 cm cube of 1 mole per dm cube sulfuric acid, and here is 50 cm cube of 2 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid. Let's calculate the moles of acid here. In experiment number 1, the moles are 0.1, and in experiment number 2, it is also 0.1 mole. It's mean mole of the reactant are same. If moles of reactant are same for both the experiment, it's mean the same moles of the gas should be obtained. Same mole of gas. Okay. So if same mole of the gas should be obtained, it's mean question option C and D make no sense because they involve different volume of the gas. And we are looking for the same volume of the gas. So either option A or option B should be the correct one. Okay. Now, you can see here that in experiment number 2, the concentration is higher, while concentration of the acid is lower in experiment number 1. So, as we have discussed earlier in the previous question, that higher the concentration mean higher the rate of the reaction. So if reaction is higher with the higher concentration, look at the gradient, so we can look at the rate of the reaction. Here this is experiment number 2 and it is showing the higher gradient, and this is experiment number 2 and it is showing the lower gradient. It's mean A is the correct option because according to our discussion, rate of reaction is higher here. Alright. Now look at question number 19. Which row gives the catalyst for each of the two process, contact process and Haber process? It's a fact. Contact process involve vanadium pentoxide and Haber process involve iron as a catalyst. So option C is the correct one. Okay. Now question number 20. The diagram shows the change in the pH as a strong alkali is added to the weak acid. Okay. So look at the graph and you will see that the volume of the strong alkali is being taken on the x-axis. And whatever is taken on the x-axis, it is being put into the burette. So this should be in the burette. And our weak acid, it would be in the conical flask. So basically, we have acid here and we are adding alkali in it from the burette. Okay, now according to the question, we have to use the indicator. One is methyl orange and the other is thymophlene. Okay, so what are the colors of these indicators in the acid and the alkali? For that, let me write something. So I'm gonna write the indicator names here. What is their color in acid and what is their color in alkali? So it is red and it is yellow. It is colorless and it is blue. As we have to look the color in the alkali, so the correct option should be option D, yellow and blue.